So right now the trombone's in the case. I have it right here. I have some of the accessories up front. And our goal today is going to be talking about how to take the trombone out of the case. I'm going to get this clarinet out of here so we don't get any more confusion. We're going to talk about how to deal with the various things in the trombone, how to play it for a second, and then how to kind of grease it up. So we'll talk about that in a second. So let's talk about the case. It's a big case. We got a super big one here, and dragging this back and forth to school is probably going to be a little bit of a challenge for you. Welcome to being a trombone player. Let's start with the latches. Always make sure, that the latches are closed. If you're carrying this somewhere, the latches should be closed for sure. So we're going to start with these latches. Make sure they're all closed. Sometimes you even have more latches than you realize. I got one back over here. Sometimes you even have these little extra don't slip tabs. Sometimes they're even on the back or maybe even on the side over here. You have to kind of look at the whole trombone. Open it up, always open away from you. I'm kind of being a bad example today. And there should be 3 parts inside your trombone. We have the bell section, we have the slide section, which is back over here, and we have the mouthpiece. Now, there's probably some secret compartments in your trombone case. A lot of my students love having fun finding all these secret compartments. So, by the way, each one's a little different, so you may have to figure out your own. And I kind of recommend starting with the slide because everything kind of attaches into there. So my case right here has these kind of little slider dongles there. So I'm pulling that. Make sure, by the way, I never force anything. I'm going to pull out my trombone here. This is the slide. Really important about the slide. Right here is what's called a slide lock. Okay, it's right there. And if the slide lock is undone, that means this thing is going to go for a ride. And if it's in the lock position, it's safe. So for the time being, I'm going to make sure that thing's in the lock position. Leave that here. Okay, I'm going to open it again. I'm going to pull out my bell. I may even lay that down. And then I'm also going to get my mouthpiece out. This is the mouthpiece. And now I have all the required items for trombone construction. And sometimes the case is so big, it's just really nice to get it out of the way, especially for the idea of this. So I'm going to take my case, I'm going to put it down off to the side, and we're going to start putting together this trombone. Okay, so I'm actually going to hold the slide, and I think that's going to be really helpful. You notice that we have 2 holes here on the end of the slide. So this is the part that has what's called threads, and that's a thing that will allow the slide to screw on. This is the part that does not have the threads and looks like it's just a receptacle. That's actually where the mouthpiece goes in. There we go. That's it. Just put the mouthpiece in there. And now I'm going to put together the trombone. Okay, now this is where it gets a little weird, and some of my students get mixed up. So I put the trombone like that, and when you look at it, it should make a capital L. Looking at it should make a capital L because the corner of the trombone is going to go to your left. I know it's the right side of the video, but it's going to go to your left, and there we go. And I'm going to make sure that's tightened so this isn't wobbling back and forth. Particularly, we don't want to bend down and bonk on the corner of the slide over here. You can dent it. So that is one of the issues that we have to worry about. Now, why I have this open, just a reminder, we have that slide lock. So you're wondering why you can't move it. That's the slide right there. And let's talk about holding and our first note. So I'm going to close the slide. Okay, now let's start with how to hold this thing. Put it down right here. What I do is, we almost never talk about guns at school for very many reasons, but it's good to kind of have a pretend gun going here. And this is your left hand that I'm talking about. So we have a left hand, I'm kind of pointing the gun, and then I put the gun, I wrap my fingers here, and I touch the mouthpiece. I'm going to show you kind of on the side here. So I get my pretend gun, wrap my fingers around. If your thumb can wrap around this bar, that's great. And then you put one finger on the mouthpiece. It could be 2 fingers, okay? That's fine, 1 finger. I kind of prefer 1 finger, okay? And then you can loop your pinky right there, and that's a good slide holder, okay? Now your other hand, your right hand, goes underneath, okay? Because eventually, you're going to bring that slide lock up. It looks like my slide lock is really stuck where it is right now. Bring that slide lock up, and then it should unlock it. You're going, wow, this thing's gotten, oh, there we go. Looks like it was stuck in an interesting way. So then I bring that up to me right here, and I'm going to go, press my lips gently against the mouthpiece and see if I can make a nice sound. Now, there's a couple other sounds that may actually happen when you do that. You might end up with like this, like other things like that. It may mean that you may need to relax what's going on here. Okay. One thing I do sometimes, I take the mouthpiece out and I buzz it like this. Or if it feels like you're playing too high or too low, you can also slide around. And sometimes even moving it up and down helps. Kind of get your lips buzzing at the right area, but you're kind of looking for this sound right here. Nice and smooth, a little bit low. Okay. Now I'm going to be working with you guys on getting that sound in class. It's probably going to take a couple weeks. Okay. But of course, let's talk about the slide lock. When you're ready, you can unclick that. And well, that's what the slide does. That's the fun part of the trombone, guys. Okay, now let's talk about the slide, because it's likely that you pick up your slide and for some reason you unlock it and it goes, eh. So I want to show you guys how to make sure that's maintained properly. So I'm going to open it up here. I'm going to bring up some of these slide products. This is called Slide Oil. This is kind of some old school stuff. You might still see this stuff around. This is called Slide Cream. Okay, they both do the same thing. You don't have to use both of them. You're going to choose one or the other. And then this is a spray bottle. All probably like one of these and this one are really, really handy to have. But let's start with the Slide Cream, because a lot of you guys are going to see this. So you can see on the inside we have some cream in there. You get your finger going. And then I actually am going to pull this slide all the way off. Okay, put it off to the side. Try not to bang it like I just did there. And I'm going to put it back. And these are called the stockings. Okay, you'll see that there's a little part and a little line over here. And those are called the stockings. I'm just going to put a little slide cream on there. You'll notice it's kind of greasy, but that's fine. And I'm going to put this kind of on there. I may even change color. Okay. Now, you don't have to put a whole bunch on. If it looks like it's clumping, it's too much. Okay, and then I'm just going to place the slides. Hard to see on my zoom-in video. I'm going to be really, really careful on these ends right here. I'm going to try to put that one. You have to put them both on at the same time. And slide it back on. And I can already hear that that's actually making a lot less sound. Okay. Now, the other options I mentioned before is we also have this sprayer. So if it's feeling like it's slowing down, you need a little extra moisture, spray it on there. And between the cream and just a hair of spray, well, not hairspray, but a little bit of spray here, it's really going to help out that slide. There's only one moving part on a trombone, and the slide is it. Much better. Okay, now it's time to put this thing away. By the way, I was trying to lay it down really carefully. So I'm going to take these supplies, move them off to the slide, and I'm going to start thinking about taking this apart. So when I take it apart, I'm first thinking about the mouthpiece. Notice how I gently pulled out the mouthpiece. If it gets stuck, you have to let your teacher know. So you have to let Mr. Dean know that your mouthpiece is stuck. And also, too, you should never like bam on your mouthpiece. You always just kind of just place it in, maybe get a little tiny twist to make sure it's, and then it should pop right out. Never like jam it in. It doesn't have to be like permanently in there. Last thing you need. Okay, and then you go the other part. Make sure the slide is locked, which Mr. Dean has not done. Uh-oh. I realized that when I put my slide on that, I don't have a slide lock thing and end up on this other one. I put my slide on backwards. So sometimes you just have to take it, turn it around, put it back on, and oh look, my slide lock's back on. I'm good. And I'm going to go over to this part right here. It's my thread, and I may have to twist and move a little bit, and it's going to release and go back down. We have our 3 parts, and I'm going to carefully get my case, put everything back in its correct place. Many of the cases, latches, many of the cases have those mouthpiece holders, right? Maybe even has a little door. Sometimes they don't have a door. You place the mouthpiece in there. I'm going to take the slide. It's easy to accidentally put the slide in backwards, so you may have to try a couple different ways. Obviously that way that I'm trying out doesn't really fit, but if I turn it around and kind of look at the shape of things, and there's even little twister holders right here, so I'm going to turn those back too. And then I'm going to go and match the bell to the case, put that in. Sometimes there's even little holders for the bell. I think those are helpful. Close it up. And then the most important part before you leave band, always make sure your clips are in. And sometimes you have to match them up with the little holes right here. Good. And then last clip over here. And you are ready to pack up for the day and ready for pack up for band. Okay, trombone players, I hope this is helpful. We went over how to take it out. We went over how to make a couple sounds. And we went over the slide, how to grease it up. And then we learned how to put it away. All right, guys, this is our big assignment for the week. I just want you to do that every day. Just take it out, play it a little bit, and put it away. And happy tromboning, my friends. Good luck.